Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you, and looking forward to seeing you all in person. The retreat conferences for me for the last, 8, 9 years have been super important in terms of just pausing and putting God in the center of my sphere of influence, which is mainly boards and corporate life. So I'm a lawyer by background. Now I work with boards. I'm also a trustee of Faith in Business. So I work with the likes of Peter and Richard and Stephen and co, which is great. And I'm going to be doing one of the Heart Talks in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm allowed to give you a slight spoiler. So I'm going to do it through a scripture that I absolutely love. And I'm going to read it from the Amplified. And that will give you a little bit of a clue, I think, around my sense of beauty at work, particularly beauty in boards and behaviours. So 1 Peter 3, verses 3 and 4 in the Amplified speaks of your adornment. And in the New International Version, it talks about beauty. So your adornment or your beauty must not be merely external, with interweaving and elaborate knotting of the hair and wearing gold jewelry, or being superficially preoccupied with dressing in expensive clothes, but let it be the inner beauty of the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable quality and unfading charm of a gentle and peaceful spirit, one that is calm and self-controlled, not over anxious, but serene and spiritually mature, which is very precious and worthy in the sight of God. That's just described the most effective CEO I could ever imagine working with. And I'm yet to find one who meets all of those qualities. But I think for me, in the work that I do with boards, that's what I'm looking for. And that's what I'm helping or trying to help uncover or give permission for board members to be. I think sometimes in the world of the boardroom, there's a perception that you have to behave in a particular way, whether it be ruthless, whether it be distant. Showing vulnerability isn't always something that's a good thing. Often that's how it's perceived. And for me, I think there's beauty in all of that. There's beauty in vulnerability. There's beauty in empathy. There's beauty in understanding. There's beauty in courage. And so when I look at boards and behaviours, that's what I'm looking for. And in the last 6 months, I've been on the back end of some absolutely ugly boardroom behaviours as an advisor to a board, which I don't ever want to repeat again. And I've also seen the exact opposite in a time of crisis across a consortia where the board were incredibly impressive because of the behaviours and how quietly they went about their business supporting the teams. So I think there's beauty in boards. That's going to be that's the spoiler. So that's going to be the where I'm going to take us for the 6 minutes I have with you in a couple of weeks' time. And yeah, I hope that's enough from me. I'll pass on to the next person, Peter, if that's all right.
Perfect. Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew Kimpton-Smith. And giving one of the heart moments at the retreat. Beauty at work for me, we're all called to work. And I think, and I'm inspired by the fact that we as a world don't do it right, but I think that Christians in business have the opportunity as a group, and probably the main group globally, to make a difference, a tangible difference to the whole world through work. And that's what I'm going to be touching on in my few minutes at the retreat. But the inspiration, I believe, for all of us is the Holy Spirit. And what I'm hoping and expecting to get from the retreat, and have got from the retreat before, is taking the few days away and spending it with, I want to say, like-minded believers in a lovely location, but spending time listening to the Lord and hearing from him. Because I know the Lord's trying to communicate with us all the time, but we're just not good at hearing. It'll give us that moment. It'll certainly give me that moment to hear from the Lord and to follow his direction and get more in line with what the Lord is asking and calling me to do in the world, in the workplace. And I think he wants to get all of us up and doing something and being positive, whatever our age, whatever type of job we're in. And I'm really excited about the retreat and about work and how beautiful it can be and should be.
Thank you.
I will now pass on. I think it's Antoinette next.
That's right. Thank you, Matthew.
Whoops, sorry, just getting rid of all the flashes on my screen. Hi, I'm Antoinette, and I'll be doing one of the Heart Talks. I've been running a cleaning business now for 10 years, and that's a story in and of itself. But last year was categorically the worst year that we have ever had in the history of me owning and running this business. And I hit a wall with it. And actually, what I want to share with you in my Heart Talk is what God revealed to me in the middle of that annus horribilis. I think I became all of the politician phrases that we've heard over the last 4 years in one way or another. And how I was challenged that, one, work is another gift from God, and what a privilege that is. Two, that everything I do is for God, for the glory and the worship of God, whether people see it or not, and actually, particularly for the bits that people don't see. And so three, that there is a joy in doing the right thing, even when no one is watching, and exploring the beauty in that. And I guess it's about the story of how God humbled me, really, to walk in the shoes, or to appreciate the shoes that my colleagues were walking in, through that. And just that reminder that my business is a vehicle to serve God, and kind of getting rid of all the ego and the transformation that did to my heart through last year.
Fabulous.
So I'll hand over to Norman.
Thanks, Antoinette. Lovely.
Thanks very much. And it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm Norman. I've spent the last 30 years starting and building IT companies. I live in Cambridge, so the retreat is particularly convenient for me. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to be giving one of the Heart Talks. And, we've recently celebrated Easter, and the message of the atonement and the resurrection is so precious. And when I first came to faith in Christ, I was just captivated by that message, and I still am. But in the years since then, I've come to love and to be captivated more and more by the message of Christmas, of the incarnation of Christ, what it meant for Christ to come and stand with us, for the God of heaven to come to the horror of some parts of this earth and stand with us, and just what it meant for him to be with us and to live his life and to show us what his life looked like incarnated. And I guess my spoiler is that what I want to talk about is the beauty of incarnation in the workplace, of what it means for us to stand as followers of Christ in some of the tough places. I want to talk particularly about the brokenness, the beauty of standing with people who are broken in the workplace, and to share some personal testimonies and some of the things that the Lord has been teaching me that hopefully will be a blessing to all of us. So I'm really looking forward to standing with you physically in person in Cambridge in a couple of weeks' time. And with that, I'll pass over to Karen.
Thank you, Norman.
Hi, everybody. Looking forward again to another great retreat. My name's Karen. I'm the CEO of a garment company called Ethical Apparel Africa, working to deliver a new type of garment manufacturing at mass scale, working through factories in West Africa, and exporting out to the US and to Europe as well. I am doing one of the Heart Talks, hopefully with a panel of some other people involved in the fashion and beauty industry. which is always something that I think is slightly contentious when it comes to beauty at work, beauty in the literal sense of, are we creating things that are enabling beauty, or is there a line that basically we can cross that becomes about indulgence, about image, about identity, and in the current world of Instagrammers and influencers and everything else, I hope to maybe cross into some of those slightly more touchy questions around, should we be working in this industry, and what role do we play as Christians within this industry? I think it's a great opportunity for anybody who's not yet decided whether they are definitely coming or not coming, not only to have that time out, but for me, being able to worship as well in that context of thinking about my role as work, and not necessarily in a church setting, where maybe you're thinking about your role in the church, or your role as in your family, or those kind of things as well, really helps to think about where's God's voice within that element of things. There's always some unexpected opportunities for networking and people that you had no idea working in similar spheres as you, or things that you can learn from people too. Great opportunity for prayer time, and I think within there opportunities for prophetic words as well, and really hearing from God, maybe something that you weren't expecting to hear as well. So those would be the reasons that I think it's definitely worth coming. And if the food from last year is anything to go by, then it's definitely worth coming to, just for the food.
Thanks, Karen. That's lovely. Thank you, Ken.
Yes, greetings, everyone. I'm really looking forward to coming over and joining you from Boston. That's Boston, Massachusetts, not Boston, Lincolnshire. And the reason why I'm making the trip, there are two reasons. One is I've worked with Peter for 10 years on conferences and things, and everything Peter touches is excellent. So I look forward to another excellent time with all of you and with Peter. And also, this topic is very near and dear to my heart. I'm a professor of workplace theology and business ethics at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary here in Boston. And this week is the 60th anniversary of the incarceration of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King in Birmingham, Alabama. And from that incarceration came the famous letter from a Birmingham jail. If you've never read it, I recommend it to you. A few years afterwards, Dr. King revealed explicitly his highly tuned theology of work, and it related specifically to this relationship between human dignity, individuals created in the image of God, and beauty. And here's how he described it to a group of junior high school students. He said, "If it falls to your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera, sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry, sweep streets so that all of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well." That theology of work to me is absolutely magic. And as I said, it is an untapped vein. And I'm really excited to be on a panel and to learn from all of you as well. So thank you for the invitation, Peter.
Well, thank you, Ken, especially coming your distance. That's fantastic. Thank you. James.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name's James Holden. I'm the Bishop of Coventry's Office of the Business Leaders, and I'm very much looking forward to coming to the retreat shortly. It'll be my second visit, and last year was certainly very good indeed. I'm taking part in one of the panel discussions, and while I was thinking about from some theological perspectives, and I was just looking out in my garden back end of last week and thinking what an awful mess it looked. The winter had not been kind to it, and there were very little flowers in bloom. The squirrels had destroyed many of the bulbs. It looked a sad reflection of what it had been. And I got the grandchildren coming up at the weekend, and I thought, well, I'll just go out and I'll try and mow that lawn a bit and make a few improvements. And I was amazed at how just a little bit of effort that I put in, in a day's time, when the sun came out, suddenly some flowers appeared and the garden actually did look beautiful, much to my surprise. And I think that's the way I see about work, really. Even if we do even relatively small things, we can make a huge difference to the way things look and feel. So thank you, Peter, for inviting me to say a few words, and I look forward to being with you all in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you very much. I think James is also on the prayer team, and I just want to introduce Margaret, if she's here. She's also on the prayer team. Margaret, did you have a few words to share with us about that?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming to the retreat for the first time. I had to miss it last year due to coinciding with my father's funeral. And I was thinking about beauty at work and, and prayer. And I found this article that I wrote a number of years ago when I was based in Uganda. And I just thought it's quite small, so I'll just read it out. And I think it really sums up how important prayer is in the workplace. So around 2001, I joined a church where there was a prayer ministry, and I've been greatly involved in prayer ever since. Encouraged to pray in the workplace, I often ask clients and colleagues if they'd like me to pray for them, and my offers have never been refused. When I arrived in Kampala in 2013 to take up the role of finance manager for MAF Uganda, I found that my team was initially apprehensive towards me. I asked if they would like me to pray for them and found I was able to build good relationships with colleagues very quickly, using our team times to pray for each other, in addition to discussing work priorities. In particular, I found out a lot about the ladies and their families and vice versa. They even prayed for my brother who had gone missing just before I left for Uganda. Their prayers helped my family through a very difficult time. Since arriving in Uganda, 2 team members have married. Their biggest concern was that it would rain on their introduction or wedding days. Rain appears as if from nowhere out here. We prayed for weeks about this, and each event experienced the most glorious weather, even in the midst of the rainy season. Other staff members then asked us to pray for their introductions and weddings, and all have enjoyed similarly beautiful days. Our most spectacular answer to prayer was after one of our team shared that all the women of childbearing age in her family were either experiencing miscarriages or were unable to conceive. The team prayed regularly about this, asking for these ladies to be blessed with children. We now have 2 gorgeous babies, Ilana and Elijah, born to 2 of the ladies for whom we all prayed for. And actually, since then, there's been 6 more. I found our short prayer times to be soothing and calming in the midst of a busy finance department. And although we're temporarily unavailable during these times, I fervently believe we work more effectively and operate as a great team because of prayer. And I would just really encourage everyone who's attending to come and ask for prayer, and you just never know what the answer might be. Thank you.